This is a little hard drive solenoid motor that I made up just for fun while I'm sitting here not being able to leave the house, and I'll show you how it works. I had to use a flashlight to run it. So what I did here is I have a this thing has this little solenoid arm on here that runs back and forth on a disc to read it. So I just I'm using that to run the motor. This is a little photoresistor here. Can you see that? Yeah. And it's in the light now. It's about 0.8 kilo ohms, and if I cover that up, it's 150K or so. And so where I have it in this piece of plastic down here on here, it ends up being about 12K to operate it. Okay, so what I did is I have a this is just a voltage divider going into a little MOSFET here, a 2N7000, and that's going to control the this solenoid here. So now this thing here, I want it to turn on at when it gets to 12K. So this is just a voltage divider. This FET here needs about 3 volts on the gate here to turn on. So if we put 10K down here and do the math for it, and I'm using 7 volts, 7 times the 10K divided by the 12K plus the 10K here, that comes out to 3.18 volts in here. So when this thing gets to 12K, it's gonna energize the solenoid. It's gonna push the solenoid up. It's usually in a resting position like this. It's gonna push it up, and the momentum is gonna turn it around. Now I have the part of it covered up. When it's in this area, the photocells out of the photoresistor is about 12K, and then up here it increases to maybe 20K or so, and that turns this off. Okay, so that's how the unit works. Now this is not a good way to do it. It's better to use a reflective object sensor, which is it's got a diode here, light emitting diode with probably infrared, and then an infrared pickup here, and there's a barrier in between them, and it reflects down on the object, comes back up, and turns on a transistor, or you could use a FET if you want, and that runs the solenoid that way. And this is not dependent on ambient light. This one is dependent on ambient light. In fact, I didn't have enough light here, so I shined a flashlight on it to get to my my 12K there. So just a simple little project out of a hard drive. Now what I did is I took this all apart, and I cut off, there's several arms on there that go across the discs, and I took a couple of discs off. This had 2 discs on it to begin with. Now the controls for this arm here, they're usually down in this region down here, and this coil that's in here, it's about 12 ohms. So if you poke around down here with your ohm meter and find 10, 12 ohms or so, that's probably going to be the coil. Now I just scraped off a couple of these tracks and use those for to tie on my leads to give my 7 volts to it. So you can you can put 7 volts in there and see if whatever it works, but it's usually over on this side over here. So this thing all comes apart, and you'll see the pins down in there. So, but yeah, that's it. That's simple. This piece of copper I put on here, and so there we go. That's a turn the power off. That's a hard drive solenoid motor. Thank you. We'll give it another try here.